Yaoundé, Cameroon, with an overall objective to strengthen and consolidate on the forum's achievements. The forum will be assessing and analyzing the political, civil, security and humanitarian situations in the Lake Chad Basin region. It will also be identifying areas where cooperation and support should be reinforced and provide opportunities to share the best practices between international experts as well as national and local actors engaged in the implementation of the Regional Strategy for Stabilization, RSS. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
The Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology stressed the need for African countries to push for modern farming techniques to close the food demand gap on continent. Musa Baba Ali reports that the forum is advocating the adoption of biotechnology in food production.
The rains are becoming unstable, the soil is becoming degraded with low productivity as a result of climate change and insect infestation. These have therefore affected food production across the African continent, increasing hunger and malnutrition as well as poverty among farmers. The introduction of Open Forum for Agricultural Biotechnology is to promote modern farming system that will resist challenges associated with weather and diseases. Rose Gidado is the coordinator of the forum. She says the country has made a significant progress in adopting the technology.
Biotech targets the poor resource farmers, so that they can access improved seeds. So for us to commercialize, to make it accessible to farmers, we need to have a safety valve in place.
2 agencies have been established in Nigeria for the purpose of promoting and regulating the adoption of biotechnology. Professor Abdullahi Mustafa is the Director General, Biotechnology Development Agency.
Mr. President, agenda is to secure the nation's food security. So this is in line with the federal government policies.
In spite of this, no farmer or organization is permitted to produce, process, edit or market any kind of genetically modified crop without the approval of the National Biosafety Management Agency. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
A bit more on agriculture. The Nigerian government has developed and presented guidelines for livestock feed formulators and producers to meet approved standards that will be globally competitive and acceptable. This comes as the Standards Organization of Nigeria, in collaboration with the World Bank Livestock Micro-Reform in Agribusiness and other development partners, unveiled the 11 Nigerian industrial standards on animal feeds value chain. Justin Bemunyi reports.
Demand for animal feeds and that of poultry has been on the increase in recent times, just as Nigeria leads Africa in feeds production. However, having a standard policy and guidelines for the production of livestock feeds is not as strong as it should be. Sequel to the unveiling of a new policy on feed production by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, the Standard Organization of Nigeria, on the other hand, has developed and approved 11 Nigerian industrial standards for animal feeds value chain in the country as guidelines that requires strict compliance to regulatory requirements.
I wish to charge all relevant stakeholders in the development of implementation of these standards, including media present here, to go the extra mile in ensuring the wide dissemination of information on the availability and use of these standards across the country for our collective benefit.
It means that whatever feed, either fish feed, poultry feed, or cattle feed that is being produced in accordance with this standard will be of international standard. Take it anywhere.
So animal feed is so important, and with these standards, oh my God, the sky is the limit. Nigeria is going to go better. Farmers are going to make much more profits. We are going to have much more market access and improved production.
I know fully well now that Nigeria, we're already involved in we're already member or to participate in the African Continental Free Trade area. So number one is going to protect Nigeria being a dumping ground, because we already have rules. Let me use that word, specifications, that if you're going to bring in anything, you must comply with the standard. And also for our own manufacturers here in Nigeria, by the time they comply to that, it's going to give them access, into international market, to the African market. It's going to give them access, competitiveness. And at the end of the day, it's going to be beneficial to every one of us.
It is hoped that the development of these standards would help in no small measure to advance Nigeria's economic diversification agenda and ensure greater contribution to food availability and security in the country. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari's efforts in improving the agricultural sector has been considered as the surest way of securing the country in terms of food sufficiency and economic rejuvenation. This is the position of guests at the South-South flag-off of distribution of agricultural inputs to farmers affected by the 2020 flood in Calabar, Cross River State. Correspondent Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
With the topography of Cross River State, residents usually suffer more during rainy season, resulting in flooding, often devastating to the affected communities. 4,311 farmers were severely affected during the 2020 disaster in the state, as farm produce worth millions of naira were destroyed. To caution the effect, NEMA delivered items in Cross River State to assist farmers make up for their losses.
We are happy to see the response of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, to farmers of Cross River State.
Muhammadu Buhari, I say thank you.
Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Habib Ahmed, said the unprecedented green revolution initiated by President Muhammadu Buhari has no doubt spread across the nooks and crannies of Nigeria.
I congratulate you for benefiting from this intervention. I implore you to make good use of these inputs and transform your production into viable agribusiness ventures.
And to also call on farmers in Cross River State to see this initiative of the federal government as one that is aimed at increasing farmers' yield.
It is expected that the agricultural input distribution, if effectively utilized, can herald a new dawn in agricultural transformation of the country. From Calabar, Cross River State, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
In a related development, the federal government, through the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is supporting more than 6,000 farmers in Yobe State with inputs under its agricultural emergency intervention to improve food production and ensure food security in the country. The benefiting farmers are those whose farmlands were washed away by flood in 11 council areas of the state. Yunusa Suleiman has the details.
For 2 consecutive years, flood in Yobe State is proven to be one of the hard-to-fight environmental challenges, jeopardizing agricultural activities by submerging hundreds of hectares of farmlands and destroying crops. As part of strategy to mitigate the negative impact that the disaster may cause on national food production, the National Emergency Management Agency had initiated Agricultural Emergency Intervention Fund, designed to support farmers affected by perennial flood disaster across the country. Witnessing here is the flagging off of such intervention, targeting 393 affected farmers in Fune, 1 out of the 11 council areas in Yobe State, benefiting from the initiative. A 35-year-old physically challenged person, Yahya Mohammed, who after receiving the support appeals for a more inclusive approach in future distribution exercise under the intervention initiative. 6,180 more farmers like Yahya Mohammed in the remaining 10 council areas of the state will also receive improved seeds, agrochemicals, sprayers, water pumps and fertilizers to invest in their farms for improved food security.
What prompted the federal government to carry out this exercise is as a result of the devastating the situation that flood usually pose on the country.
The federal government is keen into the response to the flood of our flood victims.
Data released by the Yobe State Emergency Management Agency indicates that flood disaster has so far claimed 19 lives, in addition to destroying hundreds of houses this year. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Lagos is our first stop on Nationwide today, and Michael is standing by for the next set of reports. Over to you, Michael. Good evening.
Thank you, Ayodeji. The health sector is still battling to surmount the challenges of COVID-19 as the virus continues its global onslaught. For the records, the 2021 Independence Anniversary makes it the second Nigeria will mark in a pandemic situation. Hinginojan Adams takes a look at the impacts of this trend, especially on the health sector.
When COVID-19 was first reported, many anticipated that it would be over in no time. However, the intensity of the virus crushed the expectation. As Nigeria marks its independence anniversary amidst the third wave of COVID-19, the overwhelming demands of the pandemic on the health sector still lingers with new dimensions. The toll of fatalities reported daily shows that the nation is still sadly deep in the woods.
Whilst I would say that many of our patients do well and we discharge them, they go home, we lose some.
Those people dying are not just statistics. They are certain people, they are friends and families of other people.
Despite the challenges, like a seedling that sprouts through the hard ground, most medical personnel stepped up, spending sleepless nights treating the infected while carrying out researches for a possible cure. Their efforts midwifed various innovations, including the mobile testing booth, automated disinfecting machine, hand wash and sanitizer.
The kit that is needed to do detection to show whether the virus is present in the sample or not is what we have developed.
We have indeed started experimental vaccine development. We had a result of an animal trial which was not successful, and we had to start all over again. We are not deterred by that because vaccine production is not something that you get at once.
61 years of existence as a nation and battling 3 waves of the pandemic in nearly 2 years, Nigerians are still optimistic of winning the fierce fight against COVID-19. In Lagos, Hinginojan Adams, NTA News.
The National Assembly says it is keen on consolidating the infrastructure development in the rail sector with needed budgetary support for the Nigeria Railway Corporation. Chairman of the Joint House Committee on Land Transportation, Senator Abdulfatai Buhari said this during an inspection visit of the committee to train stations in Lagos. Adeni Taiwo reports.
In the last few years, since the relaunch of modern standard gauge rail lines along different corridors across the country, it has become popular among Nigerians as a credible alternative in the nation's land transportation system, enjoying priority attention of the current administration. Ahead of preparations of next year's budget, members of the Joint House Committee on Land Transport are on oversight visit to Mobolaji Johnson, Alagomeji, and Apapa train stations in Lagos to evaluate budget performance of the Nigerian Railway Corporation for last year and brainstorm on how to further push the frontiers of legislative support.
Last year, they got 100% release based on what we approved. And the reason why you see all these activities.
We want to see a linkage between sea, ports, air, and land. That synergy in transportation is what is required to actually take Nigeria to a greater level.
With what we have seen, they will provide enough for us to meet our demands.
While promising sustained investment in the subsector towards achieving an effective multimodal transportation system for ease of doing business, Members also frowned at the activities of rail vandals described as dangerous. The oversight visit of the committee is expected to continue to other relevant agencies in the build-up to 2022 appropriation exercise. In Lagos, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
That is it from here, and when we return, the news continues with Ayodeji in Abuja.
The government has commenced second phase of COVID-19 vaccination. If you are 18 years and above and unvaccinated, register at www.nphcda.vaccination.gov.ng. Visit the nearest vaccination site to receive AstraZeneca or Moderna COVID-19 vaccine as first dose. If you received your first dose of AstraZeneca vaccine before 8th July, get your second dose now. All COVID-19 vaccines are free and certified safe. At the vaccination site, you can check blood pressure and know your diabetes risk status. Children aged 0 to 23 months will receive childhood vaccines and screened for malnutrition. After vaccination, continue to adhere to COVID-19 prevention protocols. For more information, visit www.nphcda.gov.ng or call 0700-220-1122. This message is from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
The broadcast media ecosystem is dynamic and requires continuous training for practitioners to perform optimally. NTA TV College JOS invites relevant officers to the following specially packaged training programs. Archival Management System in the Broadcast Media, date 11th October to 29th October 2021, 3 weeks. Intermediate Presentation Techniques, date 11th October to 22nd October 2021, 2 weeks. Digital Satellite, Microwave and RF Technologies, date 11th October to 15th October 2021, 1 week. Advanced Broadcast Accounting and Auditing, date 25th October to 5th November 2021, 2 weeks. Photojournalism and Photography, date 8th November to 26th November 2021, 3 weeks. Transmitter Operation and Maintenance, date 1st November to 5th November 2021, 1 week. The course fee for the 3-week course is 130,000 naira per participant, while the fee for the 2-week course and the 1-week engineering courses is 100,000 naira only per participant, accommodation inclusive. The venue for all courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more information, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos. Training you to be the best you want to be.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth Entrepreneurship Support Years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Arise, O Nigerians! Let's applaud the courage of Flight Lieutenant Abayomi Dairo, aka the Aggressor, for his skillful and dogged escape from the bloodthirsty bandits in the forest of Zamfara State. 3 hearty cheers also to all military and security personnel who are tirelessly protecting fellow Nigerians from insurgency and banditry while maintaining peace and order. Nigerians are proud of Abayomi Dairo and all our gallant men and women in uniform for sacrificing so much to keep us safe. We admire your courage and we say thank you. God bless the armed forces. God bless Nigeria. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
You're welcome back. The shutdown of Telecom service in 14 local government areas of Sokoto State has commenced. Residents of Dengenshuni local government said the shutdown of the telecommunication service will assist greatly in stopping informants from communicating with bandits. Dalhatu Abdullahi reports.
The shutdown of telecommunication services by the Sokoto state government and the Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy in 14 local government areas of Sokoto state is toward checkmating the activities of bandits and other collaborators. A visit to Dangeshuni, one of the affected local government in the state, indicates that telecommunication services have been suspended throughout the local government. Some residents of the area described the shutdown as a welcome development because the informants will not have access to communicate with the bandits.
If it happens to be a success, we are all right. Simply because the problem of security in this country, or specifically in this particular state, is alarming.
But if there is contact, they can contact anybody from any place to bring something for them. Maybe like they can bring food for them or pastry or anything else like this.
They commended the efforts of Sokoto state government and the Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy for implementing the containment order. Residents of the affected areas are going about their businesses peacefully. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Addressing the challenges of insecurity, corruption and tribalism requires citizens' participation. To this end, the 10th annual lecture of the Muslim Congress in Abuja focuses primarily on how this can be achieved. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila reports.
This is why we have chosen this topic, so that we can educate us more on this.
It's the 10th annual lecture series of the Muslim Congress. This year's gathering is not the usual talk show, but more of critical thinking to come up with an informed ideas in helping the government tackle some national issues. Mutual suspicion, religious and political intolerance will not create the needed ecosystem for national development. Speakers at this gathering are therefore calling for national rebirth.
This disunity and tribalism are one of the myriad challenges facing Nigeria.
As the farmer, as his family members increase, he wants more land to farm. Likewise, the herder, as his family member increases or the value of the cattle he's grazing decreases, he wants to have more cattle or even take them further.
Don't think of where you were born. Don't think of who your parents were. Think of the country, because God had meant that you should be in this country.
When you have parental failure, you surely will have societal failure, and that's what we're experiencing today. So I think talking about insecurity, talking about disunity is something that is very, very important for us.
It is a one-day intensive lecture, but organizers are hopeful it's a one great stride in reorienting the mindset of many positively. Abraham Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
Still on security matters, the Defense Headquarters, Abuja, has honored late Lieutenant Colonel Abu Ali and 33 other officers and soldiers for their gallantry in the fight against Boko Haram and banditry. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa covered the Nobel Award night in honor of Nigeria at 61 officers and soldiers of the armed forces.
These are the Afizere Cultural Group, marching in honor of Nigeria at 61. Officers and soldiers of the armed forces fighting to defend Nigeria and its citizens.
Many have paid the supreme price in the line of duty, while others survive with varying degree of injuries.
It is also in recognition of military personnel that paid the supreme sacrifice in the cause of service to the nation and humanity.
And for that, we say a big thank you for all that you've been doing to restore law and order.
To General Lucky Irabo, the event is a testimony that the supreme price paid by the fallen heroes are not in vain.
We solemnly acknowledge and honor the memory and sacrifices of our colleagues who have paid the supreme sacrifice to fall in the line of duty.
Late Colonel Abu Ali, often described as fearless gallant officer, instrumental in recapturing territories from Boko Haram, was one of those honored. On this night, his wife and daughter stood tall for him. Among the 24 honored, for outstanding performance is Flight Lieutenant Abayomi Dairo and Sergeant Waziri. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has apprehended 2 suspects while conveying drugs, ammunition and communication equipment to bandits in Kaduna State. Recovered from the suspects are 21 rounds of live ammunition, 7.45 millimeters, 16 packs of new 2-way radio, 4 army-colored head masks, wallets containing army ID card, denominations of foreign currencies and wraps of cannabis sativa, among other things. Meanwhile, the agency has confiscated over 1,349 kilograms of illicit substances, to include cannabis sativa, cocaine, tramadol, methamphetamine, among others in Port Harcourt, Kaduna and Lagos states, as well as arrests of 5 suspected drug traffickers. Abubakar is standing by in our Maiduguri network studio for more reports on Nationwide. It's good to see you, Abubakar. Over to you.
It's good to see you too, Ayodeji, and thank you for joining us. Borno State government is to procure 500 tricycles and 100 Toyota Corolla cars to ease transportation challenges in the state and environs. Governor Babagana Umar Azulum announced this when he met officials and members of the Tricycle Riders Association in the state capital and environs. Mohammed Goni completes the story.
Procurement of tricycles, popularly known as Keke Napep, which was banned by the Borno State government, mainly for security reasons and to sanitize the operation of the tricycles in the state, will be lifted in January 2022. The state government has made it a policy that even after lifting of the ban, the procurement of the tricycles will henceforth be regulated by the authorities concerned, which means citizens have to get clearance before importing tricycles into the state. Leadership and members of the Tricycles Association were at the government house at the instant of Governor Zulum, who noted their support to his administration from inception to date, adding that government will continue to support them, considering the important role the tricycles play in providing livelihoods to the riders and their families and easy movement within the metropolis and environs. Governor Zulum announced that as the deadline for lifting of the ban draws nearer, state government will procure 500 tricycles, each of which will be given to 4 riders, while 100 Toyota Corolla cars will be procured and be given to 200 beneficiaries. The governor directed that the 2,200 beneficiaries will pay 50% of the total cost, which will be paid by installment, adding that the leadership of the Tricycles Association is to work with the Ministry of Transport on the routes the new tricycles should follow, while the Toyota cars should ply post office to university routes. He urged the leadership to be honest and submit names of deserving riders. Transport Commissioner Abubakar Tijani thanked the governor for the gesture extended to the Tricycles Associations, which he said will go a long way in boosting the sector. Leadership of the Tricycles Association expressed gratitude to the governor for carrying them along in the scheme of things and his passion for the welfare of the citizenry. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Borno State government, in collaboration with European Union and United Nations agencies, have launched public information campaign for reconciliation and reintegration of women and children formerly associated with non-state combatants in Borno. The campaign was launched at Show of Borno's Palace. Murjana to Hassan of the story.
Critical stakeholders at the event strategized on the need to address rejection and stigmatization of combatants through massive awareness for the community to consider their plight, flagging off the campaign on public information for reconciliation and reintegration of women and children formerly associated with non-state combatants in Borno. Commissioner for Information, Home Affairs and Culture, Babakura Abajato, said with the continuous surrendering of Boko Haram members, Borno citizens are having mixed feelings as most are surrendering without weapons. He said to address these issues, more emphasis needs to be placed on reconciliation and integration of victims of insurgency.
For us to have peaceful end to this crisis, I think it is worthwhile for members of the general public to accept them as part and parcel of their society.
While commending Gomdamabagan Omar Zulum and the Show of Borno for supporting the campaign, Abakura Abajato said they will not relent with the campaign as the team intends to reach all the nooks and crannies of the state. Commissioner for Women Affairs, Zuera Gambo, commended Borno community for their resilience throughout the decade insurgency, urging the people to consider the repentant terrorists, as most of them are women and children. Shehu of Borno, Abakar Ibn Umar Garbe Al-Kanemi, commended stakeholders and agencies involved in the campaign and assured of his emirate support, as well as charged them to engage relevant leaders in the interrogation process. In their goodwill messages, UNICEF Chief Field Officer Plong Tingen, IOM Coordinator Pute Benjamin, and other partners appealed to the community to forgive the surrendered combatants, as much efforts have been made to rehabilitate them and create an enable environment for them to become useful members of the society. In Maiduguri, Mirjanatu Hassan, NTA News.
And those are the latest stories. At this time from Maiduguri, Ayodeji in Abuja has the next set of reports for us this evening. So, Ayodeji.
Thanks, Abubakar, there in our Maiduguri Network Center. Back here in Abuja, let's tell you that for Nigeria to stand firm as a united, peaceful and progressive nation, deliberate efforts must be made by state actors to build public trust and confidence. This was a consensus at a round table on Nigeria's 61st independence anniversary, organized by the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution in Abuja. Kenneth Nanim reports.
Finding ways to peaceful resolution of conflicts and violent situations that would guarantee the future of Nigerians is the task before this forum. Participants are advocating a constructive, multi-stakeholders initiative approach to addressing Nigeria's structural challenges to engender sustainable peace, security, and development.
As we commemorate the 61st year of independence, it is hope that we learn from our mistake and transform them into spaces for peace.
To avert conflicts and institute peace and security, they emphasized that deliberate efforts should be made to increase the number of security personnel, while adequate check on proliferation of small arms and light weapons, poverty, corruption, as well as collapse of social values should be intensified.
We need to deliberately, build the nation we want.
Addressing environmental factors, unemployment, overpopulation, inequalities and injustices perceived in politics and resource control system through adequate communication that protects citizens' ownership of the state, the forum says is vital.
The challenge of building that peace in a conflict spaces for leaders of a modern state like Nigeria is to wise up and face the challenge of managing diversity and hostilities in a manner that sustains common communication, common collaboration, and common coordination.
When you have a problem like open grazing, which has been on for many centuries, and most of us feel that it is time to end it, the thing to do is to put heads together and probably produce a national program, because something that involves millions of people and is as old as that, you cannot end it overnight.
The recommendations of the forum are expected to be presented to the relevant authorities by the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution for prompt action. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
One of the challenges young people face globally is unemployment and underemployment. Olayinka Ojo takes us through memory lane on government's efforts to make young people more productive for national development.
Emmanuel Ngene, before his graduation from school, began searching for white-collar jobs. And when his quest failed, he created one. He is now a manufacturer of leather shoes using locally sourced materials. He has joined the League of Entrepreneurs, providing solutions to unskilled laborers and also creating wealth.
Everybody can be an entrepreneur. It's one industry I see, or one phase of life I see that can accommodate everybody. Everybody may not do agriculture. Everybody cannot work in the civil service. Everybody cannot make shoes, but we all can be entrepreneurs.
A recent data from the National Bureau of Statistics indicates that the rate of jobless youths has increased to 33.5% from 27.1%. This means that 1 in every 3 youths between 15 and 34 years that is able and willing to work is unemployed. It is to address this that the federal government introduced different programs, one of which is the Digital Skills Program for Youths, which guarantees socio-economic development, empowerment, and employability.
When you have tech platforms developed, you can easily track whoever, wherever, and see how they're doing, especially when it comes to being able to monitor and evaluate the success.
Recognizing the place of funding as access to startups poses a challenge, a 75 billion naira Nigerian Youth Investment Fund was set up. With the support of government, the NYSC Skills Acquisition and Entrepreneurship Development Program over the years has been championing the crusade of self-reliance through training of core members in different skills sets.
Got the opportunity to learn fashion and designing in Mango camp.
I was introduced to so many things when I was in camp: bag making, bead making, and tailoring.
If the NYSC Trust Fund, as we call it, is established, apart from running of the agency, funds, startup capital will be given to all the core members so that they can set up their businesses on the skills they have acquired.
Leveraging the opportunities provided will ensure the creation of more jobs for sustainable development. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
And that's the abridged version of Nationwide this Sunday, as we take you over now to Benin City for the closing ceremony of the Betsy Obaseki Female Football Competition, which is one of the pre-season tournaments for the 2021-2022 Nigeria Women's Football League. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. Please remember to be a star, connect with the NTA, and stand against rape and rapists. Over now to our outside broadcast crew. Good evening.
Good afternoon and welcome to Nigerian Television Authority, reaching you live from the Samuel Ogbamedia Stadium, where the final of the maiden edition of the Betsy Obaseki Women Football Tournament is taking place. We just want to let our viewers know that they are in for quite exciting time in this closing ceremony and final game between Bayelsa Queens and Rivers Angels. These are two of the best women teams in the country. Football has a universal language with no boundaries across the globe. In 61 years of nationhood, the round ladder game is one sport that has contributed immensely to the unity, development, and progress of our dear country, Nigeria. The maiden edition of the Betsy Obaseki Women Football Tournament brought together 12 clubs with players from across the 6 geopolitical zones speaking the language of unity and indivisibility of the country in the last 1 week on the field of play.
Sweden.